Hi, I have a question for you. When did you start really questioning what was going on in our country and across the world? When you first heard about COVID, do you remember what was going on in your head? Like with me, I remember I had read about something in China, and I read about it right when it first happened because as I said, I'm a researcher. So I started, as soon as I heard about it, I started researching it, and I heard about this that was going on in China, and I followed it like even at the end of November of 2019. And I remember I was telling some people in my family, they had said that they were going to go on a vacation. This was in March or the end of February of 2020, right before they did lockdowns and everything. And I told them, I said, you're not going to go on vacation. They were going to actually go to Disney World. I said, I don't think you're going to be able to go to Disney World. And so, and true enough, that same week is when they shut down everything. And so I wanted to ask you, when did you start getting suspicious of the activities that were very unusual that were going on in the country? Did you really start being concerned about it when they started locking down everything? Or was it when you went to the grocery stores, and do you remember how they had each lane and you could only go one direction? And when you had to stay 6 feet apart, and they had like the footprints on where you had to stand? Or was it when they had all of the lines and you would go to the grocery store and they were totally out of toilet paper? Do you remember that? Or when they got totally out of things like, well, just different grocery items? Was that when it was? Or when you could not go into a store unless you had on a mask? And like me, I've always been one of those people that questioned everything. And if a store required a mask, I just would not go in the store. I was one of those people that was slow. Well, at first I say that, but I was very, very concerned about the virus. And so at first I started doing everything that they said. I would wear something all the time and wear gloves when I went out, and I would come in and change my clothes and put them off, take them off in the washroom. I really fell for it at first, but it did not take long until I started researching, and people all over the world were saying, maybe this is kind of like a hoax or whatever. And so I started questioning everything. But I just wanted to ask you, when did you start questioning it? And then after COVID was over, did you start looking at other things that became very suspicious, like the way the media acted, the way social media acted, and you couldn't say things on, things like Twitter. And remember, if you mentioned anything that had to do with COVID, that you would automatically lose your account. I stopped using that. I stopped using that application for like 2 or 3 years. And I totally stopped using, well, I never really used Facebook, but I haven't used it probably in 5 years. But anyway, when was it that you noticed that something wasn't right? And then I want to ask you my last question. What is it that's going on right now that really makes you a little concerned or a lot concerned? And let me ask you, is it because our Democrat Party is fighting our federal law enforcement, ICE? Or is it because we have a communist that's running for mayor of the largest city in the United States? Anyway, let me know what you think, and what are the things that made your little antennas rise and start moving. Just let me know what you think about it.